10.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Adam Seibel. Over the weekend, Goliad County Sheriff's Office, along with high-intensity drug trafficking areas deputies, Crossroads Task Force conducted a drug bust in Goliad, which resulted in 3 arrests and 207 grams of methamphetamine seized. Those who are arrested are the following: Jamie Johnson of Victoria for manufacturing/delivery of a controlled substance and a warrant out of Victoria County for drug offenses. James Walker of George West for manufacturing/delivery of a controlled substance, and Daniel Hinojosa of Corpus Christi for manufacturing/delivery of a controlled substance. The City of Victoria will start the third and final phase of Crestwood Drive reconstruction project tomorrow. Crestwood Drive between Navarre Street and Main Street will close to eastbound traffic. This reduction will last about 500 days. All businesses and homes in the construction zone will remain accessible, and residents are encouraged to support businesses in that work zone. Street work going on in Port Lavaca, mostly paid for by the state. At the intersection of MLK and Virginia Streets, new storm sewer piping and a junction box is being installed. The intersection will be closed until this portion of the project is complete. This is part of the General Land Office's Disaster Recovery Drainage Improvement Project. The GLO grant funding for the majority of this project, just over $3 million. President Joe Biden delivered remarks during a ceremony in Selma, Alabama, marking 58 years since Bloody Sunday. On March 7, 1965, around 600 people crossed the Edmund Pettus Bridge in an attempt to begin the Selma to Montgomery March. However, they were halted by state troopers who violently attacked the peaceful demonstrators in an attempt to stop the march for voting rights. During his speech today, the president reflected on the need for people to know the truth about Selma and history overall. President Biden also noted that he signed an executive order that will ban chokeholds, greatly restrict no-knock warrants, and establish a database for police misconduct. There's also some bills to expand voting rights, but that's unlikely to pass, it's looking like, with a Republican-controlled House. So your viewer poll tonight, you can scan that QR code on your screen to participate. Do you think voting rights should be expanded? Looks like 35% say yes and 65% say no. Thank you for voting. Remember to come to crossroadstoday.com/vote to participate. A second train derailment in Ohio in just over a month. Another Norfolk Southern train going off the tracks near a highway in Springfield, Ohio this weekend, about 80 miles northeast of Cincinnati. Terrifying dash cam video capturing the moment the train derailed.
Tonight, new dashcam video shows the moment a Norfolk Southern train derailed in Springfield, Ohio, smashing into a pole, metal flying, cars careening off the tracks.
I hear a loud bang. Then once the cars started coming off and going sideways and collapsing on each other, it was just time to go.
Late today, authorities said 28 of the 212 cars derailed, including 4 empty tankers with residual amounts of diesel exhaust fluid and common industrial products. But they say no hazardous materials during Saturday night's accident spilled.
Looking at the data coming in from HAZMAT and from the Ohio EPA, we're looking at clean air, clean soil, and clean water for our residents.
On This Week, Ohio Democratic Senator Sherrod Brown says he's not satisfied with the rail company's response.
This train was over 200 cars, which is 50 more cars than the East Palestine train. So the railroad's got a lot of questions they've got to answer, and they really haven't done it very well yet.
It's the state's third train derailment this year, including that massive toxic spill in East Palestine, where new results of independent air testing by Carnegie Mellon and Texas A&M universities indicate elevated levels of acrolein, which can cause skin, respiratory, and mucous membrane irritation.
Our data and EPA's data show that there's need for further follow-up to make sure that concentrations of various pollutants, including acrolein, are going down to a level where they would be sort of not potentially harmful to people's health.
The Ohio Department of Public Health says the most common symptoms people are reporting are headaches, followed by anxiety, coughing, fatigue, and skin irritation.
We ended up having to go to the hospital because my chest was hurting so bad that I was kind of getting like heart scared.
One of the biggest differences between this derailment and that one in East Palestine, Ohio, is the smell. We were about 1.5 miles away from the derailment site in East Palestine, and there was still a strong smell of chemicals. There's nothing like that here. And one other note is that there are no injuries reported here. Its cause is still under investigation. Alex Brachet, ABC News, Springfield, Ohio.
All right, it's time to talk weather on this Sunday night. We're going to go ahead and check in with Forsworn Storm Team meteorologist Howie Gordon to see what your week will look like. Howie?
Okay, we warmed into the 80s today, and really we're going to stay on that path for much of the week. Temperatures in the 80s during the day, dropping down maybe upper 50s to upper 60s at night. Again, we're going to see that warm moisture pushing in from the Gulf, keeping temperatures on the warm side pretty much all week until a boundary comes through later and knocks us down. Wind-wise, not too gusty, a little windy out to the west, but winds not strong enough to really scour out that fog, because look what we got going on here. Fog moving inland, and this could cause problems as late as 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning. Overnight, 61 degrees, clouds on the move as well as fog. We'll talk about a potential cool down later on in the week.
All right, thanks, Howie. Authorities are investigating after a shooting in Douglasville, Georgia. House party left 2 people dead and 6 others wounded. It was a chaotic scene Saturday night following a shooting at a house party attended by more than 100 teens, according to authorities. The owner of the home said it was a Sweet 16 party for their daughter. However, the party was cut short after attendees were allegedly caught smoking weed. Douglas County Sheriff's Office said a confrontation led to the shooting off Sitka Drive and Telekin Road. All right, grab your cell phone, scan this QR code. This is our quick response code to download the free Crossroads Today app. Watch us anytime, anywhere, and get breaking news alerts and vote in our viewer polls. You can learn all about our ongoing contest, and you can submit news tips and photos. Stay with us. Coming up, the race for president in 2024 heating up.
As warm moisture moves in, that's right, our fog looks to really take visibilities down. We'll talk all about it very soon.
Movies are dreams that you'll never forget.
This is larger than any of us.
I love you, Cher.
Monday, we're live. I suggest someone ask you some rapid fire questions.
Biggest fear?
Rats, the IRS, and a third marriage.
This is a meal worth sharing. Right now, get 4 hot and spicy McChicken sandwiches, 20-piece chicken McNuggets, and a basket of fries for $15.99. Only at McDonald's.
I had a fun night last night with these trolls. I drove them crazy.
Parents who are obsessed.
She bullies people online, and then she says that she's defending herself.
With social media.
If you're going to approach me, I'm going to come at you. Period.
It seems to me like you're way over invested in this to the point you just told me I'll argue with a machine.
I'm mad because you're lying.
I'm not lying.
This is ridiculous, and I'm going to put it out there on national TV.
New Dr. Phil.
This is Ford Truck Month, Texas. Time to get up and get into Ford F-150, part of F-Series, America's best-selling trucks for 46 years straight. All amped up and ready for work or play. Plus, there's a great selection in stock and ready for delivery today. So get into Ford Truck Month, Texas, and see what a built Ford Tough truck can do for you. Drive Ford F-150 with 0.9% for 60 months, 0 down, and 0 payments for 90 days, plus complimentary maintenance.
Tired of your typical clock-in, clock-out job? You need a rewarding career in an entertaining environment that you'll enjoy. Take yourself out of the box and come to the Victoria Television Group. We have an active, fun, creative atmosphere that can help you succeed and keep those everyday work blues away. Come join our energetic and outgoing sales team. Renew your career and learn to use skills you didn't know you had. Call us 361-575-2500 or email opportunity@victoriatelevision.com for more information.
Now to the war in Ukraine. In the strategic city of Bakhmut on the brink, Russia closing in, leaving Ukrainian forces vulnerable to attacks from 3 sides of the city. A UK intelligence report says that 2 key bridges have been destroyed, squeezing Ukrainian supply routes. The city has been at the center of some of the most deadly fighting for both sides.
All eyes on Bakhmut tonight. Block after block of the city lies in ruins. Ukrainian troops have battled fiercely for more than a month to retain it. But a British intelligence report says Russian forces have now made it into the northern suburbs. That's put Ukrainian supply lines in jeopardy and brought the possibility of a Ukrainian withdrawal even closer. Wagner Group, the mercenaries Russia pays to fight its wars, are in need of a win after more than a year with little success. A battleground visit by Defense Minister Shoigu, part of Russia's propaganda campaign. But Putin's forces have been significantly degraded in this fight, and the towns and cities beyond Bakhmut are more heavily fortified. The real prize for Russia, control of the entire Donbass, is nowhere close. Speculation is growing over Western plans to provide Kyiv with fighter jets. There are 2 Ukrainian pilots currently in Tucson, Arizona, for what a U.S. official is calling a familiarization event. Now, there is no comment on what this means for whether the U.S. might provide F-16s in the future, but the officials are keen to stress these pilots are not flying U.S. hardware. James Longman, ABC News in Dnipro, Ukraine.
The race for 2024 kicking into high gear. Republicans in an identity battle over the party's future. Former President Trump facing multiple investigations, vowing to stay in the race even if he's indicted, and the former governor declining not to run, and what he said about a crowded field, which could impact the election.
Tonight, a battle for the future of the Republican Party as the race for the presidential nomination begins to take shape.
I am your warrior. I am your justice. And for those who have been wronged and betrayed, I am your retribution.
Speaking at the Conservative Political Action Conference overnight, former President Trump telling a group of reporters he will stay in the campaign even if he's indicted, as he faces state and federal investigations over his finances, classified documents, and the January 6th Capitol attack.
Oh, absolutely. I wouldn't even think about leaving.
One of Trump's biggest challenges expected to come from Florida Governor Ron DeSantis on his book tour in California tonight.
Your governor's very concerned about what we're doing in Florida, so I figured I had to come by.
With stops planned this week in key states Iowa and Nevada.
We have a big problem with the federal establishment in Washington.
Former Maryland Governor Larry Hogan now says he won't seek the nomination, warning a crowded field could help Trump win.
I didn't want to have a pile-up of a bunch of people fighting. The more of them you have, the less chance you have for somebody rising up.
Other possible GOP hopefuls disagree.
I actually think that more voices right now in opposition or providing an alternative to Donald Trump is the best thing in the right direction.
While President Biden has yet to announce that he's running, his team has started to enlist top Democratic allies to help with the campaign. The First Lady has said pretty much all that's left to figure out is the time and the place of the announcement. Elizabeth Schulze, ABC News, the White House.
TxDOT launching an anti-drunk driving campaign amidst college students going on spring break. The campaign called Drive Sober, No Regrets. Spring break for most college students between March 13th and the 17th, but the celebrations for many students begin this week. One person in Texas dies every 7 hours and 43 minutes in a DUI alcohol-related traffic crash. Throughout March, TxDOT's Drive Sober, No Regrets campaign will host outreach events at key spring break locations. Each event will showcase a mobile video exhibit featuring powerful testimonials from Texans who innately understand the consequences of drunk driving, either as offenders or survivors. These testimonials and tips for finding a sober ride can be found at soberrides.org. For more on today's news stories, come to crossroadstoday.com. Don't forget to submit your birthday wishes. Carolina Estrain will read them live on 25 News Now Sunrise. You can also submit a local military hero so we can recognize them.
Please drive on the safe and slow side. We're looking at some more fog. We're going to talk all about it straight ahead.
Your brother is in prison, and you have guardianship of the 2 children.
A sister left to pick up the pieces.
What was his sentence?
41 years.
For what?
Murder. The victim was a 16-year-old girl, and he was 19.
And young lives.
Where is their mother?
Their mother was in rehab at the time.
Hang in the balance.
Were these children conceived while he was in prison?
Yes.
Not very good judgment.
Next, Judge Judy.
Movie Movies are dreams that you'll never forget.
This is larger than any of us.
At Venturas Tamales, we make Mondays wonderful. Because you know what comes after Monday? Tuesday. And you know what rhymes with Tuesday? Tacos. Well, not really, but the shredded chicken tacos are $1.49 each on Tuesdays at Venturas Tamales. And that's enough reason to make us love Tuesdays. Then we keep the crunch rolling into Wednesdays as well, with beef tacos for $1.49 all day on Wednesdays. Venturas Tamales, located at 3907 North Navarro Street in Victoria. Unwrap the flavor.
It shows you care. The freshest flowers, the prettiest plants, balloons and gift baskets too. If beautifully unique is what you seek, making lasting impressions is what we do. Always the very best value for you. When it comes from McAdams, it shows you care.
I like you right by my side.
Wow. Everybody's excited today, huh?
Live with Kelly and Ryan. Love being with you every weekday morning.
That's right. Yes, you.
Daytime's #1 talk show.
That was happiness right there.
All right, we'll start off in Cuero. We saw a lot of blue skies today, but clouds will be on the increase. But with those clouds comes warm, moist air. That warm, moist air is combined with the sunshine, warmed us up today to 80 degrees. So above average. Back in 1945, we were as warm as 92, so we could be even warmer than that this time of year. But those 80s, they look to stick with us for most of the week. Lows, 58 to 68 degrees, further away from the water. But we're going to stay on that warm weather pattern as that warm moisture continues to move in for much of the week. But we will see a deviation when a boundary comes through later in the week and starts to knock our temperatures down. But for now, we're going to stay on the warm side. Dew points, these have got knocked down, but that warm air is going to start to increase these dew points. We were in the 70s just a few days ago. We can return to those again as that warm moisture continues to move up out of the Gulf. All right, with that warm moisture continuing to move up out of the Gulf, it's causing some problems in terms of fog. We'll see some fog. High pressure will help kind of trap in the lower levels. We'll see it move inland, and when that happens, visibility is getting taken down to a quarter of a mile or less in some spots. Potentially a dense fog advisory in the mix as well. And this doesn't look to scour out to about 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning. So please drive on the safe and the slow side. So here's our winds. Gusty in some spots, but really overall maybe 10 to 15 miles per hour. Won't be strong enough to hold off that advection or that sea fog that's moving from the waters inland into the crossroads. All right, high pressure out over the Gulf, really keeping things pretty much on the stable, light wind side and really sunny side. But that high is throwing warm moisture into South Texas, so we'll start to cloud up, maybe looking at some light showers here and there, but for the most part, high pressure will control us and not allow those showers. But with a boundary headed our way, this moisture is going to build in out ahead of this front, and when this front decides to move in later on in the week, Thursday, Friday time frame, then we can see some showers with this frontal passage, plus we're going to see that cooler, dry air move in, and we're going to go from the 80s, maybe a day or two getting stuck in the 60s with that cool down. All right, really Tuesday to Thursday is when most of that moisture is going to start moving up out of the Gulf. Could bring some light showers, but more than likely we'll wait on that boundary later in the week. That'll be our best shot at some rain. All right, here's our marine forecast. Bays on the smooth side, seas now just 2 to 3 feet. 61 overnight. Clouds on the increase, as well as that fog. That fog might not scour out till tomorrow morning around 9 or 10. We'll warm to 82 under partly sunny skies. And then looking ahead for Quira, look, a bunch of warm days in the mix. And then for Port Lavaca, hey, we stay on the warm side, mostly in the 80s. And right back here in Victoria is what we got. 80s, 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 but then we got some rain chances for Friday. That boundary comes in. Look at that. Knocks our temperatures down. Maybe Sunday only reaching 69 degrees. For more weather news and sports, you can go to our app. That's at crossroadstoday.com, and that is free with any Android and iPhone.
Thank you, Howie. It is March, and all the madness that comes with it is back as well. That's coming up in sports.
There are too many people in our community who don't have the everyday resources to sustain a regular, healthy lifestyle. Affectionate Arms Adult Daycare helps anyone over the age of 18 who has medical conditions with the simple things that we may take for granted. Join 25 News Now Live on Friday, March 17th, as we collect donations and learn more about this organization. Let's come together and help keep people a priority in our community.
They sentenced me to 10 days in jail before I could even get back home. My phone was blowing up from people's parents, other people like, how could you, so irresponsible? And you go from thinking that I'm this good guy and everything's working out for me to all of a sudden like, I'm a felon.
The Victoria Television Group is proud to honor our veterans, and we need your entries. Each month, we'll acknowledge a new veteran to salute. To submit, go to the Military Hero page on crossroadstoday.com and help us recognize the deserving servicemen and women in our community.
Let's go, girls. I'm ready, Kelly. Give it up for Shania Twain. I want to talk about the album covers because, girl, first of all, this is who I am. I'm 57. I've been in menopause for years. I'm like, okay, if I don't learn to love what I'm looking at in the mirror now, I'm going to hate myself tomorrow. Girl, it's beautiful. I at no point in my life will ever look like this.
Good evening, Crossroads. It has been March for a week, and all the madness that comes with it has already returned. Lots of top 25 college basketball upsets, starting with number 2 Alabama, who fell to number 24 Texas A&M, 67-61 in College Station. That turnover right there was crucial for the Aggies to complete the huge upset. Number 9 Texas played host to number 3 Kansas, and the Longhorns with a statement victory in that Big 12. Texas held Kansas to just 24 points in the first half. Both teams, though, turning it up a notch in the second half. In the end, the Longhorns would pull away with a 75-59 victory. Number 2 went down, and so did number 3. So the number 1 ranked Houston Cougars trying to avoid the same fate and stay put at number 1, playing a tough Memphis Tiger team. Houston up 3 with 2 minutes to play, but a long-range bomb from the logo ties it right back at 63. Jamal Shead, however, would not be denied, carrying the Cougs in the final minutes and into the final seconds. Ice in his veins, and that should keep them at number 1 with the buzzer beater. Lots of schools begin district play this week, an exciting time for sports. Adam, back to you.
Thank you, Zach. And stay with us. We'll be right back with more in your last look at the weather with Howie.
The Bluebonnet Youth Ranch 2023 Charity Concert Series continues with the Gary Morris Farewell Tour, March 10th at the Leo J. Welder Center. With a career that spanned decades and multiple #1 hits, including The Wind Beneath My Wings, Gary Morris performs live March 10th, sponsored in part by the Victoria Television Group.
Have a legal question that you don't have the answer to? Crossroads Law is here to help. The esteemed lawyers of the Cole, Easley & Skiba Law Firm are here to answer them. Submit your questions to crossroadstoday.com. This is a free service where you can find practical answers about real-life situations you might have encountered. Crossroads Law is a service of the Victoria Television Group and the law firm of Cole, Easley & Skiba, advocates of trial by jury.
Right after the DWI, I lost my license and I did 30 days in jail. I could have killed him because I decided to be reckless. I have a ton of regrets. I'm Katie. 5 years ago, I got a DWI and I'm still paying for it every day.
Need weather around the clock? When the weather changes in the Crossroads, you need a reliable source. Visit Interactive Radar online for the latest conditions in the Crossroads area. CrossroadsToday.com. Weather at your fingertips.
There's a whole lot more sports where that came from. The Rockets snapped a long losing streak by beating the Spurs yesterday and continue their winning ways against them tonight. The Rockets won both games of this back-to-back, erupting for 142 points on the evening, with 31 coming from Jalen Green. The Rockets tied for the worst record in the NBA with the Pistons. The Spurs just a half game better. LeBron James, of course, out for the Lakers and will be for the next few weeks. Lakers trying to stay alive in that playoff race. They rode the back of Anthony Davis, who dropped 39 in the 113-105 victory. Lakers now with the win, now qualified for the 10th seed, which means they are well in position to make the play-in. And Luka and the Mavs played host to the Suns. That game went down to the wire, but in the end, the Suns would come out on top, 130-126. And Adam, the Houston Roughnecks won yet again tonight, and they stay undefeated in their XFL history. And now, back to Adam.
Alrighty. Thanks, Zach. We want to invite you to experience our new digital streaming service, Crossroads Today Plus, which you can find on your connected TV through Amazon Fire TV, Roku, Apple TV, and Android TV, and on your cell phone. Just search Crossroads Today Plus. The DNA of 4 former and late presidents will be sent into space. Celestic, a space burial company, is sending the symbolic remains of George Washington, Dwight Eisenhower, John F. Kennedy, and Ronald Reagan on its Enterprise flight. It's pretty interesting. The special launch was fittingly announced on February 20th, which was President's Day. So those DNA samples will be sent to space. And those DNA samples from non-former presidents will also be a part of this trip, including some from Star Trek creator Gene Roddenberry, his wife Majel, and Star Trek engineer James Scotty Doohan will also be on the trip. That is pretty interesting. They've got old presidents flying to space. Zach, I didn't think I'd ever... Some of those presidents probably didn't think they'd one day end up in space.
I mean, that's pretty unbelievable. I mean, I caught my first flight a couple years ago. I could never imagine going to space. I remember my little brother actually used to watch for the SpaceX launches and all that good stuff. He would watch them for about 30 minutes to an hour, sometimes more than that. And the flights would fail. So it's pretty amazing that former presidents are getting the opportunity to go.
And that's because you're from Houston, so would you be able to see them from like your front yard? Or?
I'm sure, not from my front yard, not from the part of Houston. I know Houston is Space City, but the part of Houston I'm at, I've never seen a spaceship in my life. But if I wanted to, it would take less than an hour to probably travel and actually go see that.
Yes. Well, I know Don Brubaker loves Houston, and he's been to the, I think it's the NASA Kennedy Space Center. I might be mixing them up with Florida. But next time I'm in Houston, I need to check that out. All right, we have time for one last look at the weather with Howie. Howie, how's the rest of the week looking?
All right, as that warm moisture moves inland, we're going to see some fog, and visibility is again getting taken down to a quarter of a mile or less. And the thing is, doesn't look to scour out until maybe 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning. So please drive on the safe side for our Monday back to work and back to school. Overnight, dropping down to 61 degrees, looking at some fog and looking at the clouds moving inland as well. And for tomorrow, up to 82 degrees. And looking ahead, we stay warm for much of the week, but eventually maybe rain and a cool down later on in the week.
All right, thanks, Howie, and thank you for being with us. Remember, we're streaming 24/7 on crossroadstoday.com. Have a good week and a great night. And remember, we're on Sunrise starting at 5 a.m. for all you early birds, and 6 and 7 a.m. All right, have a good one.